Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I just want to start this video off by saying that I really appreciate all the love and support I have gotten on this channel since I started. We just hit 300 subscribers. That's awesome. I want to keep it going. Love making these videos, love talking about Star Wars, and I've enjoyed being a part of this community. So, today's video, we're going to be doing a top 12 of the my personal favorite vehicles in Star Wars. Vehicles being starships, speeders, land, air, space, pretty much anything that can qualify as a vehicle that I felt worthy of making my list of the top 12. Obviously, it's subjective, so feel free to leave your own list in the comments. So let's get started, shall we? We're going to start off with the land speeder, specifically Luke's land speeder from Tatooine, first seen in the original Star Wars. And this is a simple concept, but there's just something aesthetically pleasing about the speeder just cruising across the sand. It's kind of got like this old beat up hot rod type feel to it, which I think is awesome. Um, would definitely love to be gliding around in one of these, so had to put that on the list. I really love the design of the N1 Naboo starfighters. I think it's really cool that in The Mandalorian, Din ends up getting one of these that he repurposes to make his personal starfighter. Really love that they brought it back for that. And I love that specific version of it as well. But the classic, the OG, the yellow, it's a sleek, fast moving ship. And it's even got the port for the R2 unit. Gotta have that. Love it. So that's going to make my top 12. Next up, we have the TIE Fighter. While it may not be the most fancy or practical vehicle in Star Wars, it is iconic. It's something that would still be a lot of fun to fly around in, where you have these basically two large panels of wings that kind of glide it to where it needs to go. Like I said, may not be the most efficient thing, but one of the most impressive things about the TIE Fighter to me is really how big it is when you see a person scaled next to it. So, really cool. So, next up, we have a vehicle featured in Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. This is one of my personal favorite toys that I had when I was a kid. So we're going to go with Grievous's wheel bike. Now, I don't know if this is like a standard issue vehicle in Star Wars or if this is something that Grievous personally made for himself, but either way, I think it's badass. I would roll around in this thing and just, especially in combat, you can just mow through the opposition. So, next up is going to be the speeder bike from Endor, first seen in Return of the Jedi. I mean, these things are just fun. It's basically a bicycle, a motor bicycle specifically. But we've got we've got this classic feel of just being able to kind of glide through the air on a fast moving bike. It looks comfortable. It looks like something that you could have a lot of fun with just out in the open terrain. So had to put that on the list. Again, it's a classic. Don't want to crash into trees with it though, so you got to be a little careful. Next up is going to be the Razor Crest, Din Djarin's original ship from The Mandalorian. Rest in peace, Razor Crest. What a beautiful ship. Perfect for bounty hunting. You've got the carbon chamber with the carbonite. You've got the all the hookups for a bounty hunter, all the different gear, weapons, accessories, things of that nature. So really a ship that is tailored perfectly for bounty hunting. Similar to the Slave One, but I just love the ship's design, so had to include it. A little more nostalgia. Next up on my list is the Jedi Starfighter, the original one. Uh, we called them the pizza starfighters growing up because of the shape. And these things are just simple, sleek. They execute well. They've got a little more firepower than I think is really shown in the movies. I remember having the toy for this where the wings kind of pop out and it's got all these turrets and different artillery hidden underneath the panels. Really cool. Had to include it. Next up is the legendary HAV-6 turbo tank. This was used by the Grand Army of the Republic in the Clone Wars. You get to see some good shots of these in Revenge of the Sith. This thing is just a juggernaut. Really cool. As far as military vehicles go in Star Wars, really can't get much better than this. This is something that can transport your troops, definitely withstand a lot of firepower, and would be a load of fun with all the turrets. Next up, we have the X Wing. Again, kind of like the TIE Fighter, it's classic, maybe not the most practical thing, but I do really love the inclusion of the R2 unit ports on these, which some of the other things I listed here have that, but with the X Wing, it just feels right. That feels like the perfect location for it. Right behind the cockpit, you can communicate with your droid. You've got a good bit of maneuverability with the wings, and not to mention it's a legendary ship. Luke flew one of these to blow up the Death Star. Can't beat it. Of course, can't make a top 10 vehicles in Star Wars list without including the Millennium Falcon, one of my personal favorites. Just having the toys and watching the original trilogy growing up. Love the Millennium Falcon, love what it stands for. This is a behemoth. This is a ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. So you've got a clear amount of legacy and history residing within this behemoth. Love the Millennium Falcon. You can literally live in this thing. It's got quarters, it's got all these different functions and entertainment systems. Really, really fun. Next up, I had to include the AT-AT. Again, iconic imagery from the original Star Wars movies. Might be a sucker for that, but you can't tell me you wouldn't want to control one of these things and just kind of stomp around, just to have fun. You know, they're generally easy to take down if you understand that the weakness is the legs and you have an ability to kind of attack that. So that's a little bit of a drawback, but as it stands, it's one of the more creative vehicles from Star Wars and something that really is memorable from the films. And last but certainly not least, the Imperial Star Destroyer. I mean, what can you really say? This thing is just cool. You've got all these different bridges and platforms, and it's basically a mobile base. Um, Plenty of artillery with the turrets. These things are faster too than they're given credit for. Able to get from point A to point B in the galaxy just like that. Iconic, awesome, grand in size. You'd have a lot of fun with one of these. So, love me some Star Destroyers, and I love me some Star Wars, and I appreciate you listening to this video. Again, thank you for all the love, all the comments, all the subscriptions. Please, if you're not subscribed, consider joining the channel so you don't miss out on any of our great content. Love doing this, love being a part of this community. And as always, may the force be with you. Now let's blow up that like button and go home.